How you doing, guys? It's Master Will from Training Grounds Jiu-Jitsu and MMA with my student Dave Brown. And today we're going to go over just an option for you guys from the butterfly guard. So let's take a look at it. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to start in the butterfly. And when I have my opponent in the butterfly guard, what I want to do is I want to make sure that I know where his hands are at all times. Okay? Because I don't want to make it easier for him to get underhooks and start to sweep me. So when I start entering into the butterfly guard, I want to make sure to have some kind of control over his hands, or if he's like trying to grab me a little bit, I'm like controlling his hands so that I can make my arms and go inside and get double underhooks. All right. So my goal is to kind of control his hands, open, and then grab around his waist like this. And you see I'm pinning him down, right? So that I'm bringing my knees close up to my elbows, so that his heels are going to be pinned to his butt. Right. So watch again. So I'm controlling his hands, I go in, and I grab. My elbows are going to be tight, just like this. I'm going to lock my elbows around his hips. I'm going to bring my knees up to my elbows. I want to make sure that his heels are pinned to his butt. So again, from this angle. Alright, so I'm going to be controlling his hands. I'm going to go grab around his waist and pin his elbows to his hips. One more time. So I'm controlling his hands. I'm going to go in around his waist, grab and pin my elbows to his hips. Now, in order to get over his butterfly guard, I have a couple options. I can do it slowly, which is an option, and another option is more dynamic, it's quick. And what I'm going to do is, at the same time, as I put my hand on his thigh and push it down, I'm going to start circling to the left while keeping my hips parallel. Alright? Looks like this. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to go inside, I'm going to lock his hips, elbows to knees, and now at the same time that I take my hand and I put it on the thigh, I'm going to sprawl my legs and I'm going to start circling to the left. I don't want to let my right hip raise like this. That's going to lead me to get swept. So I'm going to try to keep right hip heavy. Whichever way you're being swept, you want to oppose that by being really heavy with that hip. So as I'm going, I'm going to keep my right hip, keep following me, right hip heavy, keep going, like this. What's happening is that I'm holding this leg so that he can't continue to follow me with this hook. So at one point, I'm going to just basically fall off his hook. Swallow the legs, right here. Now, after I pass the guard, I always want to get hip-to-hip contact. I'm going to walk his legs away and then walk back up. So after I pass it, I grab my palm to palm. I'm going to walk his legs away. Then I'm going to turn my hip the other way. I'm going to wedge it between his elbow and his ribs and walk back up. Okay. So, I'm going to follow his hands. I'm going to get double underhooks. I'm going to keep everything really tight. Keep his hip locked so that he can't move around. Then, I'm going to put my left hand on his thigh. And you know, an important point here is I don't want to stay here long, because this makes me a little bit vulnerable. He can go up for a kimura, right? So you don't want to stay here. This should all be happening simultaneously like this. Now, get my hip-to-hip contact, grab my grip, walk his legs away, turn my hip, and walk back up. Knee by the head, knee by the hip. Chest on chest contact, and stay low. One more time. So I'm going to control his hands. Here, sprawl the leg, keep your hip flat. Elbow to hip, right? Get your grip, walk the legs away, walk back up. Knee by the head, knee by the hip. Now, the second thing that can happen here is that as you're trying to go for this pass, even if you're doing like a really good job at keeping your hips flat, if he's strong, sometimes you're going to start floating in the air and you're going to get swept like this. Good. So, we really want to avoid that. And the way that we can do that is by making sure that when we go and we start getting swept, I'm going to base my head on the ground above his shoulder. Now, I like to hold his pants if I have the gi, because it gives me some added control. I want to be able to also balance on my head. So it's good to be able to spend some time trying to get a good balance so that you're not as easily swept. I'm going to take my right arm here and I'm going to hit his leg down. And I'm going to sprawl all of my weight, my hips, right on his leg. But as soon as I do that, I want to turn my hips into him. So I create maximum heaviness on his hips and his thigh. And notice his leg is in between my legs here, all right? It's not like this, right in between. And I want to create maximal pressure here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab around his head and his arm. Let's turn this way. I'm going to grab around his head and his arm like this. I'm going to keep my legs sprawled out so there's a lot of pressure on my hip, from my hip to his thigh. I'm going to take my left knee, I'm going to bring it high. Now, if his arm is open, just open your arm, like on the ground, I will just go over it, all right? Now I'm going to step my right leg over to the mount. It's important that when you get to the mount though, let's move back here. When you get to the mount, you have to make sure that you don't continue holding on to him like that. Because if you do that, you're likely to get swept. Let me show you. So go to the mount. All right, so look. If I'm like this in the mount, he already has an overhook, all right? And let's move back. And if he blocks my foot, you can just roll me right over. So as soon as you get to the mount, you have to make like you're skydiving, all right? So my hands, they go out. My legs are crossed, my hips are down, and my thighs are squeezing on his hips, just like this. And I can base with my hands. Again. So we're gonna go control the arms, come in. Now, hand goes to the thigh, I'm sprawling down, he starts lifting, my head bounces on the ground. I have a good grip on the pants, my right arm is gonna hit this leg down. I'm gonna sprawl my weight right on top of it. But as soon as I do that, I wanna make sure to turn my hips in and grab, like cross side. You know, like you are in half guard and side control, grab that grip. I'm gonna take my left knee, bring it up, and I'm gonna take my right leg, and I'm gonna go all the way over to the mount. And when he turns, I'm gonna sprawl my hips down, lock my legs, hands are gonna go out. Again. So I'm gonna go in, pin everything tight, going up, balancing on my head, right hand's gonna hit his leg down, sprawl my hips, turn in, and grab. Left knee by the head, right leg all the way over, hands out. Legs locked underneath them, getting ready for your next move. All right, guys, give it a try. Let us know how you're doing with it on Facebook. Visit Facebook/BJJ and NJ.com for our page and let us know how you like it.